New for 96. With your hosts, Kevin McCauley and Chris Nguyen.
Should we get clapboards?
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I used to have one from like IKEA in college.
I remember there was one that was like McDonald's Happy Meal. Like
Was it clapboard?
Yeah, I don't remember
That was
what
a
it was
toy?
for.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I would hate that.
It
That's
absolutely
a shitty toy.
was. It was tiny also.
The best McDonald's toys that I ever got were the Back to the Future models. 'Cause I
that's
think
cool.
Back to the Future 3 was like playing at the time. I'm not really sure, but you could get with your Happy Meal a Back to the Future toy, which was the DeLorean, and I think they included like a special giveaway was like the VHS of 1 and or 2 Back to the Future, which actually does not make sense because that would have been like a really expensive Happy Meal toy.
Yeah.
So
That's
I don't
crazy.
know, cannot confirm, but there was at least a DeLorean. I know that much. I hope you're satisfied. I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah, that does. That does.
Good. Anyways, how are you?
How are you?
I asked first. And don't care, so I'm going to tell you how I am. I'm okay.
Sure.
I hope that also answers your questions. No, but how are you?
I am okay. We've been chatting a little bit before this, catching up.
If you will.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in days.
Right. It's been a week or so.
It has been, about
No,
exactly
I saw
a
you over
week.
the weekend.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Kevin comes to visit sometimes by surprise and is never deterred when I am in towel, not
Right.
just above my chest, but also atop my head, which every time I am in, that is my home outfit. I like to be comfortable.
Yet you wear your home shoes, which is an interesting choice. You have
I
sneakers
have
for the home,
shoes. Yeah.
towel
I
and
have-
sneakers.
I have a set. I actually have a. Okay, this is gonna sound crazy. I have a same set of shoes for the indoors as I do the outdoors. So, because I mean, even though I'm at home, I want things to coordinate and match accordingly because I am not a farmer after all. You,
Yeah.
however,
Yes.
run your shoes indoor and out, even in this time that we live in where there is just COVID littering the streets. Like you can just see it. I mean, it might be dirt. I don't know, but who can say? Yeah. So yeah, Kevin comes over sometimes to visit, and before he would
in like
be
May,
relegated.
in like May and April, we'd sit on your porch or we'd chat wearing masks like by your front door.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where it's 1,000,000 degrees
It's very
outside,
hot,
and I
yeah.
knock on the door, and you're like, "Well, I guess you have to come in because it is too hot to survive."
Yeah, you've
standing
insisted like on coming over. So you come in and you sit in like the entry. I have a chair for you.
Yeah, you have an airlock chamber.
Yeah, and I sit in my chair, which leans back, which is really unfortunate with the towel because I do like to uncross and recross my legs, a la Sharon Stone. But you know, it's my house. I can do what I want.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we also saw each other last Friday, and I will say that the Land Cruiser provides at least 6 feet of distance from the driver's seat to like the cargo area, where you hung out of the tailgate and shot the Aviator. We went to a bridge, and
Yeah.
I provided the chase car once again. And that was neat. I had the AC on full blast just in case your COVID should want to try to blow upstream towards me. So I hope that, really saved me.
Yeah, this was the third time we've used the Land Cruiser for car to car, and it's been really great every time. It's the way the tailgate, just the top section opens.
Split tailgate.
And,
Every car should have this.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Which I kind of wonder about why the GX or Land Cruiser Prado, why they don't have like a split tailgate. I always think like the swing door is like very inconvenient.
Yeah, maybe. It's cool, but yeah, not nearly as practical.
No, okay, here's the thing about the GX is that the hinge is on the right side. So it's for right-hand drive. So it's for the Japanese market, meaning that if you open the tailgate or if you open the door in the back, it locks you from like what would likely be the sidewalk if you're on a two-way street. So if you have like things in your hands and you have like can't close the door, you're kind of SOL.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
yes.
Does it bother you when people park like on the street on the wrong side, even if it's for like, I guess people do it usually for a short interval. It bothers me, and I feel like a cop.
Well, that should make you feel bad. Yes, but I think it's just because we grew up here. Because when I go to Seattle, and I think Portland's like this too, but they can park any which direction on any side of the street.
What?
And it blows my mind.
I never see that in Portland.
Maybe it's just in Seattle. I don't know. I am trying to remember. Like I've been to Portland enough times, but at least in Seattle, I just very distinctly like am freaked out every single time. And I will, of course, like park facing the right direction, the direction of flow, because I'm just so used to it and it feels wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so, I mean, honestly, I would love that because whenever I park the Celsior on the street, like in front of my house, I have like a very high curb. And so I have to get out curbside and I have to hold the door as I'm getting out, trying not to like scrape the door. So that would be great for that car. But otherwise, yes, it visually bothers me.
Remember when I had to move the Celsior and park it in front of your house because
I do. You disappeared.
Was breaking?
It was broken, and I stood in front of my neighbor's house for like 10 minutes while you went on a joyride.
Got the tail out.
Yeah. I tried to get the tail out on the Celsior, by the way, and on like 85 section or 85. I don't recall what the actual sidewall is, but it's extremely thick. Mm-hmm. I think because there's so much bend, I cannot, not even in the wet, I can't get like it to kick out. So,
I think it's those old Toyota transmissions are just so leisurely.
They probably are.
There's just never the oomph to do this. Like I've gotten the Sport Cross like loose like once because it was wet, and I had to like really abuse it because
it's a V8. It's got 265 horsepower. I don't know what the torque numbers are on there, but maybe all of the torque is like at 5,500 RPM or something.
But I feel like you'd have to put your foot to the floor like 4 seconds before you like crank the wheel.
Probably, yeah.
For it to like actually hit at the right time.
It's also really heavy.
Yeah.
And like at least on streets, I don't think I can actually get it up to speed. So I do really miss that about both BMWs, my E90 330i and 328i wagon, was that it was really easy to get the tail out like at 10, 15 miles an hour with the right like corner. And it was so easy to control. And I miss that because I can sort of do that in the 911, but the tires are pretty sticky. And I'm like also deathly afraid of slamming it into a curb because usually that's the type of corner that I'm taking.
Also, the 911, like all the weight is on the rear tires, so it's hard.
To get it.
It's hard. Like if you're like if the back is coming around, like things are not going well.
No, not at all. So maybe we can like find a wet parking lot one day.
Yeah. Oh my god. Wait. So
like a bunch of teenagers.
My friend and I, like my best friend in high school, we had our front wheel drive cars, me, my Probe GT, and his Hyundai Tiburon, and we wanted to like do burnouts and like get photos of it.
Yeah.
Me, ever the automotive photographer, wanted to like have pictures of us doing burnouts. So we had like water down, like we put water down from like jugs that we bought at Kroger.
Oh my
and, like,
God.
like I think we got the tires spinning, but no, there was no smoke or anything. Like as soon as the water like had evaporated or we had like gotten out of the water, it re-grabbed. It was very sad. And we just got this like really sad roll of photos.
That was your mistake right there, was using water. You should have gotten jugs of like olive oil.
Well, so what they say is, I think, bleach.
What?
Yeah. So like when I moved to Houston like 10 years ago, me and Matt Hardigree like would occasionally shoot some cars, or like, you know, he would show me the cars he had when he lived in Houston. He would have press cars. And I remember because he lived in Oak Forest at the time, and he had a Jag XFR, and he was the same thing. He wanted to like get a burnout photo, and like we went to Kroger and bought like, I think it was bleach.
I feel like that would somehow damage the paint and
I don't know.
other things.
I don't know.
So you used bleach. You poured bleach on the ground.
Correct.
And did it work?
I don't think so. I have to like go back and look at the photos. Maybe I don't think it did.
I feel like this is like how you prank a dumb person, but maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe. I mean, it's not like he told me to go buy the bleach.
I mean, our president thought that bleach would cure COVID.
That's true.
Maybe
there's
they're
no
from the
proof
same
that
source.
it's not.
Yeah,
no proof that it's not. I drink 1 shot glass a day of bleach.
Really clears out the system.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say you're looking particularly pale nowadays. It must be working.
Okay, so I have before we dive into our main topic, I do have a question.
Yes.
2 questions.
Yes.
2 questions that I put on our thing here.
Yes.
So, like, very briefly, like, what was your earliest driving experiences like? And, like, did you like it? Because I ask because I think I was, I want to say I was like 13, and it was Thanksgiving, so there was no one on the roads, you know, in the middle of the day. And my dad, like, he took me to like a parking lot, and he let me drive his 530 E34, like around a parking lot, and you know, and I remember being so nervous, but like, you know, it was cool. But I had always had this fear leading up to that. I always had this fear, like, because I was so obsessed with cars. You and I are like weirdos, because I remember when all of my friend group became into cars, like when we turned 16. Yeah. But like I was always into this stuff just because of I revered the objects, like you and me, where it's like I just loved the vehicles. Like it was completely separate from driving. It was about the specs, like, and the design and the objects and like the loyalty of the brands. Like I just loved all of that.
I was obsessed with like even like dumb normcore cars. Like
yes, you
were. Like I don't even know how early on, but like my like interest in Volvos came from the fact that like most of my family had owned a Volvo of some kind at that point, and that, you know, shot me down that rabbit hole.
So when I drove that one time, and then I drove a few more times, like, you know, and then he took me, like, we went to the mall parking lot. I think maybe I was 14, but like it was a while before I was old enough to drive. Yeah, because I turned, because we could get, you know, at the time in Texas, you could get your learner's permit at 15. So like 3 months after my birthday, I was scheduled to like take driver's ed and get my learner's permit. Yeah. And then,
oh man, I was on the ball like about that. Like I wanted it, like as soon as I was eligible to get like a learner's permit and my license, like I didn't want to wait like a day.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was like a wait. Like, I think there was like a waiting list to get in. That's why it was like about 3 months. But yeah, I remember my birthday is November. I think it was February that I took the class. But yeah, I was always like, what if I hate driving? It was always a fear in the back of my mind. And then once I was confident driving, I was like, what if I hate driving a manual? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, what if I love cars and I love this and I'm supposed to like driving a manual transmission, but what if I just don't like it?
I had like a concept of like manual and automatic, like not like what it would be like to drive, but my dad's best friend, like he'd always have manual cars, and his son was my best friend at the time. And so, like I grew up like witnessing, I didn't know obviously like driving dynamics and what would make it different. But like there was like a reverence for manual cars, and I was interested in that. I remember being obsessed with the Volvo 850 T5R and being upset that it didn't come in a manual, even though I didn't know like what effect that would actually have. But I was sort of the opposite in that I was so confident about like, I didn't know what it would be like to actually drive a car, but I was so confident that I was going to love this. I was going to know what to do immediately.
You never had any doubt?
No, in fact, like I think I had just thought about it so much, and as I like approached the age, like I would be paying attention to how people drive cars just to pick it up. So my first driving,
I did that too. And also like when we moved to the Woodlands, so this was in, I don't remember what year it was that I turned. I think it was 99 that I turned 15. Or it was 15 in 99. But like we had moved to the Woodlands right before, and I had like navigated, like my mom like didn't know her way around, and it's a very confusing place that all looks the same. And I had like, I was the map person, you know, like there was no online maps. Like we had a physical map, and I knew like the way around, and I like learned way before I could drive. Yeah. But I also like, I remember once, cause my dad would let me drive through the neighborhood. And I remember once, I swear, like I slowed for a stop sign, like as gradually and slowly as I could from like 3/8 of a mile away. Like I'm slowing for this stop sign. I was like, I wanted it to be smooth. I didn't want it to be like jerky. I've been in a car where it's jerky. I didn't want that. But it was so slow, like the slowest deceleration for a stop sign.
Been behind your kind before, and I don't care for it. I was probably overly confident. So my first driving experience was in Orange County, California, where my very irresponsible older cousin was.
Is this the one I'm thinking?
Yes, who got me into. Sorry, I'm just remembering all the events of what you knew about.
Yeah, he had that friend. I think her name, I can't remember. Was it Molly?
Yes, I believe that was her name. Anyways, so we of course still talk to this day and get along swimmingly. And he lives in Newport Beach, California. So he must have been 16, I think 16 or 17. No, he was, he's 4 years older than me. So he would have been like 18 because I was 14. And
so is he like 48 now? You said he's 4 years older than you.
Yes, he is 4 years older than me, which makes him 32. So,
okay.
Yeah, there you go. You're the oldest one here, Kevin, and that's not a joke.
I mean, that's what everyone would believe.
Yeah, no, dear Lord, you're ruining the mystery. I have deleted my birthday off of Facebook so that no one would eventually know my true age, and there would be lore. I use it as a yellow page, basically listing more than anything. Okay. Now I haven't posted in like 3 years. Anyways, so it was I of course remember it's a 1997 Toyota Camry V6 XLE.
That's the extra luxury edition.
It's the extra luxury edition. And we stopped by a store, and he said, "Do you want to drive the car around? I'm going to go inside." And I was like 14. I was like, yeah. And so he got out and I got in the driver's seat and he went in the store. I drove around and I was just giddy. Like I'd never driven a car before, and he wasn't even in the car.
That's
this
crazy.
Is
That's
pretty
funny.
On par with
wow.
Who he is. And so yeah, I drove around, and then I distinctly remember coming back around to pick him back up, and like I came to a stop, but I was so excited, like getting to drive the car, that I didn't even think about it. I like came to a stop. I mean, I didn't really have an experience either. And I put it into park before the car actually stopped. So it grinded to a stop. And then he let me drive home.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were like on real roads in California.
I was on real roads very unlawfully.
Wow.
And drove back. Like it must have been like 3 or 4 miles. And I just was like, it was bliss. I didn't know what I was doing. I cannot believe he let me do that.
Wow.
And then there was another time in Houston. I'm trying to remember when it might have been like a friend of mine who got his learner's permit first. And even though he was supposed to have an adult, he was driving around for some reason, and then he let me drive his car. But by the time my dad started teaching me how to drive for my learner's permit, or with my learner's permit, like I was so comfortable driving a car, and I had like one hand on the wheel and the other hand like on the arm, or my other arm on the armrest. And he was like appalled. He was like, "This is not how you drive." Like 10 and 2, even though no one drives at 10 and 2.
10 and 2 is not good.
It's not good. But okay, do you remember what your first manual car was that you drove?
Yeah.
What was it?
A Suzuki Samurai.
Whoa.
Yeah, our next door neighbor, like one of his sons or something had it, and like let me like learn on it, and of course like I didn't quite get. I mean, I got it like in principle, and I got around, but it didn't really click. And then like my first car was a Probe GT, and I like kind of got through the test drive, and then like got it from there. I guess I got it. I don't remember having a difficulty after that, but I remember the test drive on like 59 being a little bit stressful.
Yeah. Mine was an 86 Celica convertible.
Ooh.
It belonged to a friend of mine. And this must have been this was probably later into high school. So I think I had a driver's license at that point. But he taught me how to drive stick on that. I don't remember like how difficult or easy it was, but he didn't care about the car. So that was...
I think there's like a 91 Celica convertible in my neighborhood, like on one of the houses.
Here's the thing. So related to that was the first car that I drove with momentum, because the first car that I actually...
When you say momentum, you talking about the dealership?
I am now. Yes. No. So that was the Celica was the first car that I actually like drove manual in, like as in like the car moved and like we were on a street and driving. But the first car was what I thought at the time was a 911 G-body 930 turbo.
Wait, is this happening? Are you doing this?
I'm doing this.
You are the king of this. You are king of the Segway.
You have it here on the list, so we're gonna talk about it. So yes. I had my first car was
from the top.
Yeah. So my first car was a 95 Saab 900 SE with the unfortunate V6, and like I had bought it. I think it was like on my 16th birthday or like the day after. And I'm like a little bit cloudy on how this came to be, but
so am I.
like they came and got the car because it needed like immediate servicing, which was not a good sign. And so instead of me driving it to the dealership, they came and picked it up. And
so this is how long after you bought it? Like
probably a week, less than a week.
Okay.
And the person who dropped it off, or rather picked it up, left a G Body 911 and said like, here, this is like, use this if you need to get around, and I'll come back and swap the cars. And so it wasn't like an official dealership thing. I think it was just like his car. And, you know, and this was like the late 90s. So like the cars weren't worth anything. So
but someone like you still pay money to upkeep it. Like someone still had something invested
possibly.
In it. Also, you at 16 must have looked like you were 11.
The same, actually.
So like I said,
with a little bit spikier hair.
Okay. Did you have Jinkos at the time?
I did not have Jinkos at the time. I wore Billabong. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Pardon.
And they were purchased from Pacific Sun. If you must
it's called
know.
PacSun. It's called PacSun now.
Pacific Sunwear. So that car I thought was a turbo because in my like young, unknowing of Porsche history mind, it had a big tail on it. So I was like, oh, it's a turbo. Like that's the thing. And so I don't actually know if it was or not, but it had a tail. And I tried to get it going. It was a stick, and he asked me, do you know how to drive a stick? And I was like, yes. And he left it with me. And I remember getting it going enough to turn it around half block later because I could not get it going. Because obviously it's a manual. They only made them in manual. And so I like somehow like was able to do a 360. I like basically stalled it every 3 feet until it came back around. So that car was probably destroyed after I got my hands on it. But that was my first manual experience. But the car did not actually move with momentum, is what I meant by that earlier. It lurched. It lurched for like about 500 feet. So
wait, but I thought you drove it home.
No.
Oh,
no. So that's how it got it. That's how it was there. Was like it was dropped off at the house when the guy picked up the car.
Oh, okay.
So I don't remember the circumstances. I don't know if it was like, oh, he was supposed to pick up the car on the way to work or something, and because in the future I got like Saab loaner cars. Because at the time the 9.3 was current, so I would get like 9.3 loaner cars, and like those were like rocket ships compared to, because those had the 2.3 turbo in them.
Oh yeah.
So the base model
how is that compared to like Stevens? Because I drove his.
That was probably the same. It's Stevens. So he had the next generation, like the new non-hatch generation.
Yeah.
So like when it became the 9.3, I think they made the 2.3 turbo, the base model that used to be the fast car. So like if you had bought a 900 turbo, you got the 185 horsepower. No, I'm sorry. It was a 2-liter turbo. So I haven't thought about Saabs in a very long time, but you see what you've done? You've infected my brain again with this information.
Yeah.
The 2.3 was the naturally aspirated.
Well, you need to get a Saab diecast.
I do have a 1/64th scale.
No, that does not count. You need a 1/18th.
1/18th is the only diecast.
That's our currency.
Count.
That's our currency.
Those are the only ones that exist. Did I conclude the 930 story?
Yeah, I think so. You've walked it back more than I've ever heard you walk it back.
So I hadn't really thought about it, and then when I saw it, you had written it on the list. I had to think back
with 3 quotations.
Yes. I had to think about it. Like I hadn't thought about it in so long, and I had to like bridge together the facts.
Whoa, live car model.
I thought that said Taoping, but it says Top Wing. It is not a Chinese model brand. It's a 1/18th 94X die-cast model. It's a resin model, but they probably made more of these than they did the real thing. So
yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw a real thing.
I don't know either. Like, I did a quick like BRZO search for them to see if like they exist, but I couldn't find one.
Wow,
but that would actually be kind of cool. I mean, it's serviceable, right? Because it's technically a GM base.
Yeah.
So I assume they use the same motors, etc. So in theory, that could. I mean, all the newer Saabs up until the end, in theory, are serviceable, except for all the proprietary bits, which that Top Gear documentary made it seem like there are very few shared components.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, except for the 97X.
So how are we going to do the diecast?
How are we going to... So
let's jump right in.
So in the time of COVID, doing car things, it proves to be challenging, at least in the old way. Not old way, but just like going and doing car things. So like we were supposed to go to Luft in April.
Yeah, April. It was end of May.
So we were supposed to go to Luft.
Maybe it was end of April. I don't know.
I don't remember. We were supposed to go to Luftgold, and obviously that was canceled. So first year in 3 for me and more for you, that we did not go, and basically all other future gatherings. I have not attended any of the Cars and Coffee. I think unofficially people are meeting for Cars and Coffee. You know, just sparsely populated or attended Cars and Coffees, and not much posted about, I suppose, so as to not draw a crowd. Anyways, I've been pretty strict, I suppose, about not going to those myself. You and I have done a couple of car things, but mainly it's just like drive, so it's not really like going to see.
Yeah, like we've met with like one person and stuff. That's all we've done. We haven't done any like car things with people.
Yeah, so
we haven't even done drives because it's been too hot to do drives. Like we did a drive like 3 months ago when my 911 broke. When
your 911 broke and my AC had conked out, and it was like mid-90s still. So that was torturous because it was like a 40-minute drive.
No, it was more than that. Yeah, we did a drive with our friend Tom, former guest, and I couldn't take my car, so I took the Sport Cross, which was very comfortable.
It was very comfortable. My car was very hot because it's a fishbowl. And Tom was very comfortable in his Riviera Blue 993 with working modern AC.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, I've missed doing like car things, and I miss seeing like groups of cars. And we do have like in Houston, I will say, like we have pretty good car people, or people who collect like interesting things and bring them out and actually drive them. And so I missed, I don't know what, I just suddenly got an urge the other day to buy a bunch of diecast models. Like I've been holding off. I'd always I'm not a big like model person. Like I don't have like a model train set in my basement, nor do I have like a giant like shelf full of hundreds of models. But I've always if I wanted to collect specific ones for a long time now, and I always thought it was kind of silly spending more than like what a Maisto costs. Maistos are like, I mean, you could buy those literally by the pallet load at Costco for $10 a piece.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been ones that I've been like, you need to get this. Like I've been trying to convince you on things for so long. And then one day you're just like, I'm going to buy some models. And you send me a list of like a dozen. And I helped you refine the list, but it was crazy that you went into this like, I'm gonna buy a shitload of models and I'm just gonna do it. And it's cool. It's cool. I mean, you can't. I think for you, I think you get enjoyment from the thought of buying and selling real cars, and that is, depending on your comfort level, like unfeasible right now. Like some people are still buying and selling and auctioning cars, but like, if you're not comfortable or if it seems not enjoyable to like sell a car or be a part of the buying process of a car, like that's totally understandable. And so to fill that with these diecasts that you can have in the right color and the right spec, like here,
live in-person car things like give me anxiety at the moment. And so the thought of like buying and selling a car and having to people do it and it's probably fine, but this just like accelerated it without like too much commitment. And so I sent you it started out with one model in particular that you and I have been talking about for a long time that I should just go ahead and get because the real one is so difficult to find. And then somehow that just snowballed and it suddenly turned into me purchasing, I can't, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 11 models, and
all 118,
and I skipped over like the cheap ones that like look like they were molded with like lumpy Play-Doh. So I wanted like good detail, etc. So let's just fly through this list. So that car that started all of this, and I was just planning to buy this one and maybe 2 more. I didn't know how it exploded.
By the time you roped me in, it had already escalated because you had I'm going to buy, it was like 8+. You're like, I'm going to buy all of these.
Yeah. And then even when I said, okay, no more, I'm gonna stop, I ended up buying like 4 more after that. That one was the Volvo 850 T5R wagon do you know what the yellow is called?
I'm looking at the list, but please go ahead.
Fine. So it's called T5R yellow.
Love it.
And so that was the official paint code. So it's a 95 850 T5R wagon. So this predates the 850R. And this one's an automobiles one. So it's a resin. So the doors don't like open and close, but it looks really good. And
it does.
I would love to have this car in real life, but all the US market ones are destroyed or have like 300,000 miles on them. So while I bide my time, this one will have to do. It's a really cool model, and it's so for me at least, it's unexpected because it's a Volvo 1/18 scale model. And it's in a good color.
It's in the color. And you have the E34 M5 Touring. So I love the idea of you collecting these interesting Euro wagons.
Yeah, I've got a 94 E34 M5 Touring in Techno Violet, which is also the good color for that car.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of fly through this a little bit. So then added to that list was so we talked about this because the way that I like to display model cars is not like on a shelf, one next to the other, just because I don't want it to look like a collection. I want them to kind of look like art objects. So, and we kind of discussed this, but like older cars kind of fit that bill a little bit better. And they're a little bit more sculptural.
Yeah. You had a 997 GT3 RS on the list, and I thought it wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
Because it was such a screaming color, like the green, and it was such a like shouty modern car.
It is, and it's kind of a little bit more like, I don't know, like I also kind of like cross-reference this with like, if I could buy all the cars that I ever wanted to buy, would I have that car? And in like a crazy collection list, yeah, I probably would. I'd probably have a GT3 Touring before I'd have a GT3 RS, just because it's more usable in real life. And they do have a 1/18 scale GT3 Touring. It was I don't know. I wasn't moved by it, so I didn't end up picking it up.
The colors weren't great.
Yeah, and then I just like, so this took a long time. Like, I considered all these cars like over the course of like a week, I guess, which is a long time. And I ended up like wanting no post 2000 cars. So all of these are like 2000 and under, except for one, and we'll get there. So I have cars that are in a cabinet, and those are kind of the newer ones, and then the classic ones kind of sit sparsed around, like kind of placed around the house. So we got a 73 Carrera 2.7 RS. This is the touring model, according to, so they can make these anything they want just by a label. So, but they say it's a 73 RS touring in, they didn't officially say the color, but it's kind of in between signal and light yellow. So I can't tell what it's supposed to be. So it's signal / light yellow. So next to my bed, on top of a Saarinen tulip table, I have a Luftgekühlt book, and I end up getting an 87-959 in garnet red metallic to place on top of the book.
Who makes that model?
Mini Champs.
Oh yeah,
makes that model.
Are you happy with it?
It's a good model. Yeah,
Good.
I'm happy with that.
Are you happy with the color? It looks like arena red in the pictures.
It looks like
I've
arena,
seen.
yeah. But I think officially it was garnet red.
No, I'm not. I believe it. I'm just saying for a visual reference, more people know arena red.
Yeah, it
probably.
looks like arena. It looks like arena. Okay, so the next car was a 930, 78 930 in light green metallic.
Does this look like? Is it look like your loaner car?
It kind of. It had a tail. That's all I can say. All I can confirm here. So
78
one,
is it? Is so 78?
It's
is
a
it
turbo Carrera, but technically, what
is it?
Oh no, it's not. No, that'd be 76.
So
Sorry.
it's the full T tray, like the one on my shelf.
Yeah, this is the full T tray.
Okay.
So this is a 78. So no, it'd be just a turbo, not a turbo Carrera, but it's in light green metallic, and the color is close-ish. It has kind of slightly cartoonish like tires, but that's fine. This one sits in a cabinet, and I swear they're not all 911s. So the next one is a 1990 BMW E30 M3 in sterling silver metallic, and I didn't get that one in a color just because I had everything else kind of in a bright color, and it also kind of looks good in this kind of gray silver.
Yeah, I was just before you said that, I was going to say silver is great on that because it really accentuates like the value, like the light dark value changes with those box flares, and that's extremely cool.
Yeah, I do like it because the other options were basically I don't know,
red.
It was Emola, yeah.
Okay, one of the three reds. As Daniel will tell you, there are three reds on the E30 M3.
Fine.
One is Hellrot and many others.
Oh, I poured too much there. Unfortunately, because I don't like going to the liquor store as often. I've gotten the Costco
handle.
size.
That's a handle of Glenlivet.
Yes, it is a handle of scotch. What of it? Anyways, so the next one, good color, 94. I put E36 M3 in Dakar yellow. Also, this one looks pretty good too.
Best color.
Pretty good color, yeah, and it has the
motorsport wheels.
Motorsport wheels, which are my favorite.
That's
on
good.
that. Next after, in theme, 73 BMW 2002 Turbo in Chamonix white, which I wanted kind of the iconic one there because that one's out on display.
Yeah.
On top of books inside the house somewhere. So, and that one's pretty cool. Also a Mini Champs. This one, maybe the most normcore one, and I really wanted this one. And I know it's not the most loved configuration, but I really like it, and I actually would love maybe the replacement for the LX to be this. So it's a 98 Mercedes G500 short wheelbase in brilliant silver metallic. And I think this one's going to be a little bit harder to find, and it's going to be a little too expensive, so it probably won't be a G500, but this one's by Auto Art. This one's pretty cool. It, like, all the doors open. It has carpet on the inside. Mm-hmm. It has hood struts that work for the engine bay. Cool. And I really like the way this looks. In the G500, they only ever imported 10 to 12 of these. So these were Europa ones. Wow. And I was talking to you about this the other day. Like there were a couple on BAT recently, and Europa charged a insane premium. Like it was $125,000 car at the end of the day after like their federalization process, I guess. And they still sell for like $60,000 to $70,000 for this particular model because it was the V8. Otherwise, you can get the 6-cylinder and the diesel all day long as like Japanese and otherwise European imports. So, anyways, could you? I regret, by the way, not. So when I bought the Celsior, there was also a green short wheelbase 280 GE for sale. It was pretty good condition, cloth seats, but with like a modernish interior and AC to be important because a lot of these short wheelbase imports don't have AC and they're extremely difficult to retrofit. And it was a really good price too. Like not that much more than the Celsior. And I kind of wish I had either got one or the other or both at the time. It would have been right-hand drive, which I know people would have poo-pooed, but it was fine with me.
Yeah, no, that's cool. You were not really sold on the short wheelbase until very recently, I think. I think this model kind of expanded your... Yeah. It seems like the model actually changed your viewpoint on these cars.
Well, I was off of them for a while just because it's just like buying like a G-body. It doesn't matter that you could buy one as new as like 89. Like it is still basically a 1968 car. And it's kind of the same thing with the G-Wagon. Like it was a mid-70s design. And so I was like hot on them for a second, like a couple of years ago. And then I just realized I was just going to be like driving an old car, even with like, because I wasn't interested in buying like a newer G-Wagon. And so I'm kind of hot on them and thinking about like, what if I did buy like a slightly newer, like a late 90s Europa, not anything special because I don't want to spend like an insane amount of money, but that or like, I don't know, something else. So this is just like, you're listening to the like seeds of this idea that I'm saying right now is stupid. I'm never going to do this. And then 3 months from now, I will have made a mistake. So
I support this.
We'll see. All right. So after this, 98 911 Carrera S split grille in Vesuvio metallic. So that's the metallic arrived? Purple. It has not arrived. It's coming from Canada.
Okay. Well, you bought it later also.
I bought it later. So this is like, we're entering the, like, I'm not going to buy anything else. And then I started buying these. I used my Amazon points to buy this one.
Yeah.
So it was basically free. And then I didn't think I was going to do this, but I ended up buying just to round out the wagon collection, a 95 Mercedes S124 E36 AMG wagon in azurite blue. So this is like a 90s era. So this is not the Hammer, because the Hammer was an option too. We discussed this. You were not a fan of the Hammer. I was on the fence.
I don't know. I think that Mercedes, like all blacked out, just not my thing.
As an idea, the Hammer is extremely cool because it was 6-liter V8s. But I will agree with you that as a model, the all black thing, it was okay. And this one is in like a very rich blue, which kind of appears.
How is it? So I see it behind you. Is it good? You like it?
I do like it. I broke off the hood ornament this morning while dusting it, and I've since reattached it. A hood ornament on a diecast model, I can see why it is a bad idea because I saw a few used ones on eBay with a broken and or missing hood ornament. So, but it's pretty good. It's a resin model, so none of the doors open, but the details are pretty good, and it has monoblocks, which is pretty cool.
That's what you need.
That's what you need. And the color's good. I may break down and also get the hammer. I don't know. Because I do kind of like the blacked out center. So it's a monoblock too. As well, I should say. But the centers, the spokes, I guess, are blacked out.
You don't have it on this list, but did your 964 arrive?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't have it on this list. You're right.
I saw it in the picture. You sent a picture of your kitchen table, and it was on there, and it looked very good, and I was very jealous. It's really
good. Okay, I can't believe I forgot that on this list.
Who makes this 964 Carrera RS? Who makes it?
So that is GT Spirit.
Okay.
So it's a resin model as well, but it's a pretty good resin model. Okay, so it is a obviously mid-90s 964 Carrera RS Club Sport. So mid-trim. I don't know if you consider these levels, but it's the one with the completely stripped out interior as opposed to the RS that everyone sees, which is just the Sport. So that one still has like carpets and whatnot. So this one has like the roll cage in it, color match roll cage. And I was going to put this one in the cabinet, but it looks so cool, like with the roll cage. I love that this era, like RS, by the way, like that it looks so tame, like on the outside, except for like, the bigger cup wheels. But so this one is in Guards red. I wanted to find one in like the mint or ruby stone, but they're kind of hard to find, and Auto Art does make one, but it's like twice as expensive. This one was unfortunate.
Did they get the taillights in the proper magenta?
They did ish. Okay. Yeah, it's not bad. Perhaps not like as real life as it could be, but yeah, not bad. So it like I'm tempted to look for an Auto Art one. This one was not inexpensive, and the Auto Art one is exceptionally not inexpensive. So because they don't make many more, but those open up. And they make those in the Sport, so that means it'll have like the carpet and whatnot in it. So we'll see. I'm slowing down for a second because I'm running out of places to kind of put them without it looking like a crazy person's collection. But So I will say like that model taught me a few things because I had to look up the difference between the Sport and the Club Sport. Because I was like you'd mentioned this too. I was thinking like, oh, what if maybe it's a mistake? Because I remember the wing, but that's on the 3.8. So if you get the 3.8 RS, then you get the wing, and I think speed lines. This one's more subdued, and I kind of prefer the looks at least of this one. Yeah. But they also made like an RS Comfort, which seems pointless. So
I think I think that harkens back to like the 959 maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, it just has
the 959. It was like 95% of them were Comfort, and then there was like 28 of them that were Sport.
So most of the RS 964 RSs were Sport. Like a handful were like 100 and maybe 300. I forget what the numbers were, but just in the hundreds were the Club Sport. And then the Comfort was not as well spec'd, or rather, it didn't sell in the numbers that the Sport did. I don't ever hear about the Comfort. I'm sorry. You know what? I think they call it the Touring, not the Comfort. So it's the Touring model. Okay. But either way, like it's the same idea. Like they add more stuff back in.
Yeah.
So if I could find would it be dumb to buy a cup, a 964 cup, Carrera cup? Kind of the same idea.
I'd have to see it. I don't know enough about the model.
It's basically the America, like it was the forgotten and at the time, like the one that they didn't even want to advertise. RS. It was just like the stripped down version for America that was not the RS America. It was the pre-RS America, I guess.
I see. Yeah, that's pretty cool. When I went to Canepa, they had like a Carrera 4 Cup, like because it was like for a stillborn Carrera 4 Cup series.
Well, that was it. Yeah, that was it.
There was like it was like the Carrera 4, but it was like they ended up not doing the series, but they made some of the cars, and because people like pre-ordered them, and then they're like, hey, by the way, you have to pay $100,000 for this car, and people were like, I'm not into it, but like they still had to do it.
Yeah.
But there was one at Canepa, and it was pretty cool. And of course,
so that's what
all
happened.
the money for it.
They couldn't find like sponsors for the series, and so I guess embarrassed or just to sweep it under the rug, they just quietly sold the cars. And there were only like 125 of them. So I don't know if they ended up selling them at a discount. Maybe not.
Well, the Carrera 4 Cup was even fewer because it was like 4-wheel drive.
Yeah. So that's kind of crazy that existed because people were clamoring for the RS here. And that was like maybe an earlier, I might be wrong here, but that was an earlier answer to that, the RS, having an RS here. And then the RS America came out. Yeah. Which purists it's a love-hate thing. I like them. Yeah. It has a place in the history, even though I think it was only 95 pounds lighter than a C2. I don't remember.
Yeah, it wasn't very serious, but it was like cheaper and, like...
The idea was cool.
The fact that like 70% of them got bought by like SCCA instructors.
Yeah,
is
and
so
they were
cool.
used.
Like, that is really legit.
Yeah. So there's that. Okay, Sue, the last one. So this is on pre-order, essentially. So this is the newest model that I will have as far as like a representation of model year goes. And I wasn't even planning to buy it. I had tweeted about it because it was just kind of cool and people were into it. And it is a car that I'm like fascinated by. I don't even know why I'm fascinated by it. I think just because of the history. It's just such an austere icon. So it's a 2018 Toyota Century in Kamui Eternal Black.
Wow.
So it's the new Toyota Century, which looks like a cartoon version, like a modernized cartoon version of the old one. And the only reason why I bought this is because, not because of, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of fascinated by the Toyota Century, but it's an auto art model. It's very detailed. It also has the working hood struts, the whole thing. But it has wool seats, real wool seats.
Ooh.
So
they look good. Yeah, the picture, they look really good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good model, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. It is,
and it's going to be really big.
It's probably going to be really big. It's a 1/18 scale, but the car itself in real life is probably like Rolls-Royce Phantom.
Yeah, like
sized.
I've never seen like a non. I guess besides your wagons are 4-doors, but I've never seen like a big car. Like I've seen so few even 1/18 scale 4-doors.
Yeah,
I don't own any 4-doors.
Yeah, oh yeah. So this will be kind of interesting. I don't even know where I'm gonna put it. I have like some stacks of Japanese magazines. I may like place it atop that just for theme. But
sure.
So yeah, that was like the long list.
That's exciting. It's really cool. Like I said, I've been petitioning for you to get that Volvo model for years.
Yeah,
and so it's amazing that you got it.
So silly. Like I miss cars so much. Like just being in front of cars, different cars. I say that even though like half the list are 911s, but that like this happened within like a period of like 2 weeks where I was going to buy one model and then I ended up buying like 12 models.
Well, and you kind of like I know you like to build your kind of dream garage and your like 3D renderings and stuff of your dream garage.
I do
and
do
so
that,
it's
yes.
like to do this with like physical objects is one step closer.
I just
one
like
step more real.
So this is a chip on my shoulder. I do not mean to project this on anyone else. If you collect cars and your house is car themed, that is absolutely fine. But I like to have cars. Like when someone walks into the house, like I would like for them to know that I'm interested in cars, but I don't want it to be like a car themed house. And so I was really like hesitant to buy too many models.
I have a couch that is made from the rear end of a Bel Air. I was going to have it shipped to your house. Is
yeah.
that
Okay? Oh, it's next to the jukebox with the bubbles, right?
Yeah. It plays the Happy Days theme.
I did notice
when you bang it.
You do have a photo to painted canvas of you in your car in the buff. So that is...
There's a towel. It's very tasteful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Placed on the hood of the car, so it didn't really help with that view much. Anyways, so that is like where I am now. So if you're seeing on social media that I'm posting a lot about die-cast models, that is why I'm like replacing real life cars with die-casts right now.
I love the photo you posted of the E36 in the Dakar yellow. It's such a good car in the yellow. So
I'm like taking photos. I mean, I'm not like, it's not serious, and they're all on iPhone. But instead of like, I almost bought a backdrop from Amazon to shoot them like as if they were real life. And then I realized that's not a rabbit hole that I really want to go down.
No.
And so I started shooting them on furniture, but I captured the machined it a bit by darkening the exposure so that you can really tell what
LDR.
it was, if you will.
LDR, low definition, low dynamic range.
Yeah. So I'm shooting them like underneath and in between like chairs to make it look architectural, but you can still tell like it's a chair. And so it's a model. It's not meant to look real, but
you fooled some people.
There are some people who the Volvo 850 T5R was well received, and that is, I think it's also just because it's just, that is you can never go wrong with that car.
No, it's an iconic car. I mean,
it's like iconic.
So like
it's not,
I can only remember seeing one ever, but I went to the Hilton Head Concours in 2015, and Volvo was like a sponsor, and they had brought all these cars, or they had either like brought cars or had people bring cars that like had cars and collections and stuff. Yeah. And it was like car after car after car that I like have no connection to and don't really care. But there was a yellow 850 T5R wagon, and I was like, oh, it's so
that's an interesting man. So growing up, one of our neighbors, and I wish I had found out who it was, but someone down the street, I'd always see the yellow 850 T5R wagon drive by, but they also had like a red 850R sedan. And like every couple of weeks I would see it like pass by the house, and I really wish I found out. I mean, I don't know what it would have done, but it would have been kind of neat.
Can I offer to buy this from you in 20 years?
Yeah, exactly. Please don't drive it. Please don't drive it to like 300,000 miles like everyone else does. But all of my neighbors growing up had like interesting-ish cars. So the neighbor immediately next to us had a first-year LS400 with brown cloth seats. Across from us, there was a bachelor with many lady visitors who had a series of eight series BMWs. I think I saw him go through two at least, a red one and a black one. Wow. And then next to them was a family that had an Acura Legend sedan and a 80 series Land Cruiser. And honestly, like I thought that was the best pairing. And then down the street, a good friend of mine's uncle who lived with her, he collected 6 Series BMWs, 80s 6 Series BMWs. I forget what the model designation is.
E24.
E24, yeah. So he had like, I guess they weren't expensive at the time, but he had like several that he went through.
They were not expensive for a long time.
Yeah. So I always thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I wish I had
My
to like
neighbor, when I was in elementary school, my neighbor across the street, his the father was a doctor in the military.
Yeah.
And he had an E24 M6 that was like in a race car livery. And I think I've told this on the pod before, but he, I think the engine, we were in North Carolina at this time, and the engine was in Virginia being rebuilt for like 2 years.
That's
which
crazy.
as a kid seemed like an eternity. This car was just like under a tarp in the garage for years. And then he got it back on the road and like immediately got hit by a deer in our neighborhood. And so he got that fixed, but it had like the racing livery, and I think he tracked it or autocrossed it or whatever.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the son who I played with, like he ended up being a professional race car driver.
What series?
Like Pirelli Challenge, and he was at Pikes Peak driving when I went as a photographer.
Wow.
2 years ago.
Did you say hello?
Yeah. No, I didn't run into him, but yeah, like he's a
that's
real
cool.
racing driver. He's driven in Grand Am and many series.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very impressive. I always wonder how like people actually like get into it, like ease into it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you from a young age you do go-karts. That's what he did. You do karting, you do that, and then you get into like I don't even know.
Just that but escalating, well, I guess then eventually someone escalates to like F1, but it seems like such monumental jumps each time.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I feel like we were like the Malcolm in the Middle family on our block with the crazy kids. And I remember once, I don't know why I'm thinking about this now, but my dad had a Taurus at one point, a black Taurus, and the neighborhood kids because he would wash it all the time, and they would get to whip creaming it every couple of weeks.
Why did he have a black car if he was concerned with it being clean?
I don't know. So after that was a Volvo 850 Turbo in teal.
Ooh, yeah. No, my dad's E34 was black, and I would wash it for him a lot. We would wash it, or I would wash it, and like the basket weave wheels were so impossible to clean. Like they were such a pain.
I always thought about like how do people actually clean those, because you'd have to sit there and just like finger the hole. Oh, well, that's fine. This is not a family podcast. Finger the holes for like half an hour.
It's after hours for us, but we don't know when people are listening to this.
I don't know.
They could be driving to work,
kids. If you're in the car listening to this, but
I think we should maybe wrap this.
I think we should wrap this up. We are at 4 hours 30.
Yep.
Here on our show.
If it's not showing 4 hours 30 on your podcast player, it's because I edited out about 3 hours.
Yeah, lots of chunks here.
Cut stuff
out. All right.
out.
Thanks for listening to episode
New for
56 of New for 96. Glad we did that in unison, as we always do.
As we do.
Yeah, so do follow us on Instagram at New for 96, and write to us, if you will, at New for 96, all spelled out, at Gmail, that is googlemail.com. And I think that's it.
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
Thanks for listening.